device here in this angle, not that angle, but in this angle. You see what the cable does. That's the reason why. Then I inform the patient. I will position the applicator. I will let it lay on the abdomen for a couple minutes before I set up everything properly. So I put it here like that. Yeah, you're very taking photos. That's very, very tight. And I close the wings so they're touching her, and I let it lay on her, and then I go behind the head to assess if I position it right. Now you can very clearly see, well, you have your hair, sorry. Mm-hmm. Here are her shoulders. Mm-hmm. You want the shoulders to be aligned with these blue things. Mm-hmm. So then you know that the center part is positioned well. That's like, people overlook it. It's simple, but people don't see that. So I tell them the blue things should be aligned with shoulders. And if that happens, you see I move the whole device. You have smooth floor. If you have carpet, you have to maybe use another hand to move it, but it's also easy. So when the center part is perfectly fixed, then I look on the wings to have them closed symmetrically, and now I leave it like that. Then I go to fix the knobs. I don't want this totally straight. I want it like this, little bend it. Then I fix first the big one, and I use the midsection. You cannot fix it other way. Then I fix this one, and why is that? Because when I want to change the angle like this or like that, you see I'm moving the midsection. So if I fix this one, I cannot do it. And when it lays on her like this, I'm sure it's parallel to the abdomen. It should be between the hip bone and ribs, which in your case is impossible. What? Filming style, okay. That one was for Lee. So in her case, this is actually, you're having a really tiny area between bones in there. But imagine she's having the fat bulge here, so you place it over there. And then I fix like first, second I fix this one at the end. And I never use the center part. I would need too much force. I hold it from outside, which is also good for ladies with long nails, because they would not be able to put their fingers inside anyway. This is the moment to lift it. I leave my palm between the skin and the applicator. I always lift it a little bit more than I need because the gravity would push it back. I keep it lifted, and in that moment I fix the central knob as the last one. And I let the gravity push it back. Normally it is like 1 centimeter above, which now it is not. Yeah, here we go. Now I correct it. How I did it? I fixed this part so it's not moving. And I know even though it is tightened, I didn't tighten it with my full force. So now if I use the force, I can move it a little bit. There's some friction and torque, but it can be moved like this without untightening that. If I tighten it too strong, I would have to loosen it a little bit. But now I did it just the way, as a matter of experience, but it's not rocket science. You just do it a couple times and then you see how much you need. Now when I'm happy with this, I use the stick which I left upstairs. Well, maybe we have one here. Well, I'm not sure. I actually have one in my baggie. I was giving one on last meeting to somebody, but I always had more. I got a refill. I don't have it. Sorry. I have many things, but not this. Oh, here it is. I knew I should have one. It's a good tool, huh? Mm-hmm. So I use the 1 centimeter ball, and I see that I'm too far from her abdomen. Mm-hmm. So I would push it a little bit lower. You see, it's a useful tool. And now it should be just fine. Yeah. If she's accidentally touching by breathing, it's okay, but it should not lay on her abdomen. Now you see exactly it's 1 centimeter here. This is the closest area. And when she's breathing in, it's a little bit less. When she breathes out, it's a little bit more. So it's Like when you breathe, it's between 8 to 12 millimeters. This is perfect. Now when I'm happy with this, I go here and have a look on wings. And then I want to lift the wings a little bit. I don't breathe at the moment because I was having a garlic. So, so then I have the applicator no closer than 1 centimeter away from the treated area. I'm okay with this. Before I start the device, the last check belongs to cables. Now this cable is pretty close to the bed. If there's a metal on the bed, it can conduct a little bit of the energy, not a big deal. But if you have a metal bed, make sure that the metal is not exposed, that you have some blanket over it. Like for instance this one, I would put it over and I'll probably use this blanket to have like 0.5 centimeter to 1 centimeter distance. If the patient occasionally is touching that, he or she would not feel the electrical flow in her or his fingers. That's why we cover. But anyway, with moving this holder, I can increase the distance from her thigh and from the bed. Now, even though the screw is already fixed, tightened, I hold it like that. I don't want to ruin my job with positioning. And then I just push gently the holder. And then you see the distance is much higher. Probably push too much. Like this is okay because I want this to be aimed upwards. If I push it too much, so I'll go like down. You don't want that. So you want it like this. If I want to increase that distance, I pull the cable a little bit like that. I'm good. Also, this splitter has to be as close to the port, the terminals, as it can be. Because if I put it here, it will be actually keeping the cables together. And the purpose is to split the cables. So now I'm happy with this. I'm happy with that. I double check this. And then I can start to.
Okay, that's cool.
So these are easy steps, but people can get lost in it. I've been spending like 45 minutes with the person to let her set it up. So I make it easy for them in the way that I say you set up the treatment, the device, the box, 90 degrees to the bed. If you do the core, then you do it in the line of the arm if you do the flanks. Then the second thing, I place it on them and I align these two blue dots with the shoulders. When I'm happy with the center part, I push together the wings to see that it's symmetrical. It still lays on her. Then I fix the knob. I'm not lifting it. People start to lift it, they hold it in the air too long, they destroy the position. Leave it on them. 1, 2, then lift it and fix the third one. Then when you're happy with the positioning, you open the wings a little bit, you are happy with distances, you fix the cable holder and the cables themselves. And I always drill them in these sequences because if they don't have to think of this, what I do first, what I do second, what I do third, they at least can focus on doing it right. Then when I measure the temperature, I don't ruin all the setup. I just lift these, I move it away, I measure, I move it back, put it like this, start the device, and then when the energy is on, oh, this one is too far, I do this or this and that. Easy. Okay. Because you can always change this and that. So you have quite a lot of freedom to adjust. And at the beginning, I'm obsessed with the geometry. I want to have it symmetrical. Later on, you know that it's too warm here and too cold here, so you disbalance the geometry, but you want the equal heating. You don't care about geometry anymore, but at the beginning you don't know about the heating, so you are putting it geometrically, symmetrically. But later, you just focus on the heat, and you don't lose too much of the heat. So when I measure it beeps, like, I do it fast, measure, 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 measure. Good. Putting back, start, and when it's on, I come back here and I see I did a bad job, so I do it this way. Easy. But I don't want to lose time. Also, whenever I do whatever, I check the position from here. I always drill them to come here, go down, have a look, and then go back and check the tuning. I change the position because of the hotspot. I change cables. You call, somebody hits the device, and I have to reposition. I check from here and the tuning. These two things always have to be checked. If you give them these like milestones or like checkpoints, they do less mistakes. Because it's actually quite a lot of things to manage.
Yeah,
It doesn't look like,
a
but
lot.
it is.
There is a lot. Yeah.
And then at the end, can't do that. Also, lazy people with high adjustable beds, they do it like this. Let's say you have it somewhere here. They bring the device, and I don't like it because some people need different angles, so it's not really great. But they do it like this, like that, they play with this, and guess what? They do this.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. Look. Now, too much of too hot, a little bit of the hot spots, okay, give you a relief. People are lazy, they do this. But if you do it within the same patient, it's okay. But if you do it with different patients, if they get more volume here, they need it like this. Sometimes they don't have too much volume of the lower ab, then you need a straight or like this angle. Sometimes it helps if the lower ab gets too low, you get overheating of the hip bones. It might help that you put them some pillow under their butt, and the gravity moves a little bit the fat pad in the center. Because if it's too low, the hip bones are too much in your field, and the hot spots mainly are happening above and below the hip bone. Because the heat cannot spread, the bone is reflecting it, so it accumulates the heat.